Boom. What's up, friends, freaks, humans, lunatics, upright bipedal homo sapiens? How art thou this afternoon? I trust that you have made today a successful day, that you have not been lazy, and that despite the difficulties you faced and despite the various and sundry inadequacies that you feel like are ahead of you or a part of you, and despite all of the things that you feel like are holding you back, and despite all of the hardships that you feel like you faced this year, and despite having to wear a mask everywhere you go, I hope that you've chosen to make today a decent day. Change is inevitable. Change is a part of who we are. It's a part of our nature. As human beings on this planet, we know what change is. We understand change in a deep way, in a new way, I think. We definitely, as Americans and as humans and as upright bipedals in this world, we definitely are experiencing change, I would say. But change doesn't necessarily have to mean hardship or difficulty. But it's funny, when you convince your brain, or you convince or train your body that hardship is equal to change, or that change is equal to difficulty, it can become quite easy to get lost in that. It can become quite easy to believe that this is forever. Whatever the this is, whatever the problem is you're facing, it can seem really, really easy to get lost in the right now. But it's never that you're lost in the right now, is it? You're always thinking about the future. You're always thinking about the past. When you're upset, when you're really obsessing, when you're really angry, when you're really not feeling great, when it's really a difficult time, you're never really with it. You're never really in the moment, are you? You're thinking about the future. You're thinking about the past. The only thing about the future and the past that holds you down is your imagination about it. That's about it. And you can make excuses or reasons to justify the behaviors that you exhibit. You can choose to keep doing the same things you've done, and keep eating the same things you've eaten, and keep listening to the same things you've listened to, and keep doing the same things you've done. You can keep doing that. But I promise you'll keep seeing the same results, no matter how much you think you want to change, and no matter how much you think you want to learn that special position in jiu-jitsu, or that special move in this game, or that special move, not in the game, in life. So you're like, yeah, I can't wait to try this out. Well, you know the only way that you can try it out is live, in a live session. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, a lot of submissions in jiu-jitsu, they only work live. Some sweeps, like where somebody's standing and you put them on their butt, that sometimes some of those only work when you're going full 100%. And you think about Neil, the drummer from Rush. You think about him for a minute. You think that dude ever made a mistake quietly on the drum set? Not a bit, not one. Every single mistake that man made, I believe he made it loud and big. And I think that's sort of, to a degree, within reason, with temperance and meekness and consideration, I think that's sort of where we have to be in life. We have to be prepared to throw all of us into this movement, whatever it is, wherever we're headed. So let's say we're facing something like, for instance, we won't be able to do something that we normally do. We won't be able to face something that we normally face. We won't be able to deal with our problems the way we normally deal with them. We keep believing that perhaps maybe they were right. Maybe like I should quit. Maybe everybody that said I was crazy to do this was right to begin with. And that doesn't have to change the fact that I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stop. This is a part of who I am. It's change. Change is inevitable. Change is a part of the world we live in. Like if you look at Mother Nature, as you call it, or as someone has called it before, Earth, You look at trees, you look at the seasons. Change. It's all right there. They're all right there. Every bit of the change that we needed is right there waiting for us. So we look at our problems and we feel like there's no way that we can get better. There's no way that we're going to move past this thing we're facing. It feels like this is forever. It's not, but it feels that way. And then we begin to allow our feelings to run us. And it seems so elementary, doesn't it? What I'm saying, so basic. It seems like you could dismiss it by saying, whatever. What does he know anyway? Do that. The foolish person does that. Not to say that the wise man would listen to me, but the wise man, the wise individual, the wise human would first and foremost, before complaining about their circumstances, would look around at how much of their circumstances that are classified as negative are a result literally of their own white belt grips. Their own clinch on what they think is safety is actually what's keeping them pinned. The water's only ankle deep and they act like they're drowning and all they need to do is stand up. Okay, maybe waist deep, not ankle deep, but waist deep. There's all of this change we're experiencing in our lives right now. There are so many things that are uncomfortable and difficult and challenging and unfortunate and blah, 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 blah. There has never been a reason more right now than there has ever been before. There's never been a better reason to not do anything, to just sit around, to be lazy, to just let yourself keep being lazy. And you can justify it. You look at your patterns, you look at your routines, they feel safe, they feel comfortable. Everything feels good until it doesn't feel good. Everything feels normal until it's not normal. Everything feels fantastic until it's not fantastic. Everything feels good until it doesn't feel good. And when it doesn't feel good, we want to freak out. We tend to spaz. We tend to freak out a little bit. We tend to act like the child, unsure if mom is going to drop us or not. And the panic when the dad play drops and picks him up, play drops and then picks him up and then play drop. You know, I do that with my kids all the time. Act like I'm going to drop them and then not drop them just because I'm playing with them. Life does that though. Life does that, and it's quite well actually. But the problem is, life's grip sucks, and sometimes it drops you. I've never dropped one of my kids. I keep my kids pretty well gripped. But like, you know, you throw your kids up in the air, you play with them, you make them feel scared, but they feel safe. So that's weird, isn't it? How a child can manage to look at something that we would view as terrifying. Like if some 20-foot giant came up to me and said, "Let me play with you," and he starts throwing me in the air. Man, that would suck. I would not enjoy that at all. That would not be fun, and I would rather not do that. And if that giant lived with me for 25 of my years, or 6 of my years, or whatever, my first formative years, then I would trust that big giant. So when that big giant picks me up, I can trust it. Just like you do the harness on a roller coaster. You've trusted the harness on a roller coaster even if you've never ridden on it. Why? Why would you trust that? You've never ridden on it because someone told you it's safe. You've seen other people do it. You've heard about it. You feel safe. Something has made you feel safe. You've watched the other hundreds and hundreds of people go through that roller coaster, so you're okay with it. But when life picks you up and throws you on your head, it's like, wait a minute. This isn't supposed to happen. Like I had it all figured out. This isn't supposed to happen to me, is what we feel like, isn't it? This isn't supposed to happen to me. I am supposed to get blah, 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 and not blah, blah, blah. But I got blah, 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 and now I'm blah, blah, blah. That's it. I mean, it seems, again, I'm saying this over and over again, it seems so simple. When you break it down like that, it sounds like a toddler throwing a temper tantrum, doesn't it? It sounds like Tim's about to start chastising you. I'm not. I'm not going to chastise. I'm also not going to speak in third person anymore. But I am going to remind you and me. I go back and I listen to my podcasts just because I want to see how much, I don't know, it's cringeworthy sometimes, but other times it's like, oh, dang, I should have listened to me. I should have taken my own advice. Man, why didn't I remember that? Why didn't I hold on to that? Why didn't I practice that? How can it be that so many people that I know in my life, they look at me and they say, man, you're a decent guy, Tim. I like you, Tim. You're decent. Man, wow. I like you, Tim. And then I look at me and sometimes I see garbage or I want to see crap. That's not right. That's not true. That can't be consistent because those people aren't liars. So those people aren't liars or I'm a liar. One of the two. Either I'm not telling the truth to myself or they're not telling the truth to me. That's tough to tell because people are sneaky. But the people that think I'm decent are decent people. They're people who I think are decent. So it's like you get this consistent message across the board. You get this consistent message across the board and it's like, oh, okay, I wonder if I'm the right scale for if I'm a good person. Don't let me go down that road because I'll take you down that road, friends. That road is that you're not a good person and neither am I. Intrinsically, deep down inside, like really deep down inside, we're trying to fill something. Now, I've got it filled. I'm good. You send me a message. I'll tell you how I filled it. I'll tell you what I filled it with, and I'll tell you how I keep it filled. I will, I promise. I will not tell you here, though. Nope, I won't. And I'll tell you why I won't tell you here if you ask me. Not here, though, of course. You see, it's really simple. However you choose to fill up whatever space it is that you feel like you have, just remember that it's going to run out. Eventually, the thing you fill it up with is going to run out. The thing you use to manage your manic energy, it's going to get exhausted. The things that you use are going to be taken from you, and then you are going to be left with you and you alone to deal with. You. Face you. Deal with you. Turn in to you. Face you. It seems so simple. Again, I keep saying this. It seems like something that an adult would tell a child. But yet, here I am, an adult telling me, this adult, that I need to know this. I need to do this. I need to practice this. I'm remiss if I don't mention that your positions, I call them your yard sign views. You lunatics in your yard signs. Ugh, God, shut up already with your stupid yard signs. Stop it. Never before has there ever been seen such a clear example of moral flag waving than yard signs. I am not joking. I'm sort of kidding. But you can just pull it back a bit. Like you don't need everybody to know your position. And it's interesting, isn't it, that you do, the individual who has the signs. It's often said that the ones who speak don't know, and the ones who don't know speak. Hang on, wait a minute. Is that right? Somebody challenged me on that the other day. I think it was Craig Craig Haveron here in Omaha. He said, but you spoke, so does that mean you don't know? That's true. That's the first step. Figuring out you don't know. Figuring out you haven't got it figured out. And then look around you and see, okay, wait, does he have it figured out? Does she have it figured out? Do they have it figured out? Yes, no, yes. Well, they don't have it all figured out, but that person over there has about 5 of the 90 things I need to have figured out. So just like in Zelda, I'm going to go over there to that person. I'm going to pull from that individual what I need, and I'm going to go on to the next individual and get what I need. That sounds really sort of like you're patronizing, like people are a grocery store and you're just going and shopping for what you need, and you're just taking from them what you need. But you know what? I know you don't like that. I know you don't like that vernacular. I know that vernacular makes you uncomfortable. But get over it. It's a fact. People are medicine. And you take medicine. I mean, that's a really, really rough analogy, but it's pretty simple, right? This is part 1 of the episode changes, okay? I'm going to keep going through this discussion. Because with what we're facing right now, I am not going to do a podcast about masks. I'm not going to talk about how much you don't like the fact that blah, blah, blah is going on and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the stuff that makes you uncomfortable, that makes me uncomfortable. Why? Because those are the things that help us change. Look, I get it that you don't like the thing, whatever the thing is. You don't like it. I don't like it either, I'm sure. But complaining does nothing. You can't know why someone did what they did because they don't know why they did what they did. If you ask them, you know, wife, husband, spouse, significant other, why did you open this instead of close it? Now, what their first response oftentimes is defensiveness, so you're not getting the right answer. Second of all, they don't know, because they a very, 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 very unlikely chance that they did it mindfully. They just did it. So asking them why they did it is a foolish, foolish, foolish venture. So I'm not going to ask you why you refuse to give up your grasp and worship of time. I won't ask you why you think you're so important. I'll ask you to ask yourself that. Lastly, I close every podcast like this, if I can help it, if I remember. You're a valuable individual. You have intrinsic value deep down inside. And if you don't believe that, here's your message. You're a valuable individual. I love you. You are loved. I promise. I'm not crazy. And don't hurt yourself. If you're considering hurting yourself or someone else, please don't do it. Please send me a message if you can't. Please send me an email if you can't. Please leave a message. Comment, something. You're not alone. TimothyLocklear.com. Boris, the service dog on Facebook. Veterans for Natural Rights on Facebook, Instagram, and the web.org. I'm going to end for now, leaving you with those thoughts. You're amazing. Jeremy Brown, methinks thou dost protest this too much. All right, folks.